And welcome back to another Money Moves with Jon C and Wendy Lee, everybody. And Wendy, as always, great to see you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I
It
know I
did.
enjoyed
It was
the weather.
amazing weather.
Yes, I am so ready for spring to
Me too.
sprung. Or
Me
maybe it
too.
did spring. I don't know, but I'm glad it's here. So good stuff. Had a couple of great conversations this week. So we're going to be talking about the 401k. And we know a lot of people do have a 401k or use a 403b, which is very similar, depending on where you're at, things like that. So we're going to be talking about some of the pros and cons of it, what it is, how to, why is it, this versus that or the other. So if you've got questions about your 401k, for training and educational purposes only. But let's talk. Let's have a chat. Ask some questions. Do me a favor though. Text your friends. Hey, you had a question about your 401k? Jump onto blackswanmoney.com and follow along. We'll get started in just a moment. And we're back live.
I just muted you for a second when you were talking. This is what happens when you do live video. Somebody knocked on my door. I tried to mute myself and I muted you. Sorry.
So what did anybody,
we're all good. No,
it's
I
all
only
good.
Muted you for a second, but if anyone noticed, that's
oh,
me.
Got it. See, man, I get no respect. What the heck? What the heck? No, that's
all
right.
I'm stressed out. Okay, it's
no,
fine.
don't sweat it. It's okay.
Video. I have kids. There's people knocking on the door.
Yeah, no, I've got the birds are chirping and everything else, so I had to close my window because it's spring has sprung, right?
There you go.
So everybody's kind of getting ready for tax time and things like that. So you're going to start thinking about, okay, I got to save more money or whatever. I didn't quite get it last year or whatever. So we're going to talk about one of the main stays of middle America retirement, which is the 401k. All right. And or 403b, 457 plan, that, that employee or employer sponsored plan, right? ESP. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm not doing is giving you advice on different whatever to put your money or things like that. Again, this is for educational purpose. We're talking about general rules and really kind of going into a deep dive on, what it is or what other things are out there and whatnot. But I don't know. I've had 401ks in the past, some good, some not so good, things like that. I don't know, Wendy, you've had experience with 401ks, correct?
Yes, I had one once. Yeah.
Okay, I had one once. Well, it's because you're the queen bee entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I got into the entrepreneur business owner thing a little later, but no, it's still, even with traditional IRAs and things like that, there's different things you can do. But like I said, most people out there in Middle America and in the workforce are doing the 401k at some level.
Yeah.
The question is why, or why not?
Right.
What are the things? And so those are some of the questions that I've had over the last few weeks with people as they're getting ready for their tax planning and all that stuff. So, what are some of the questions that you have, or, let's kind of do that. Let's just open it up for a quick Q&A on the 401k, what it is, what it isn't. What do you want to know? What do you want to know?
Yeah. Well, so I made a post the other day, just trying to find out like who has a 401k. And I was surprised at the number of people chiming in and say yes. Yeah. And I had comments of yes, that and a 403b. And I had yes, my company matches. And I had yes, and I max it out. And so my questions for you today are going to be around those things. So the first one is, right, if my company matches, is that worthwhile? Should I take advantage of the 401k that my company has with a match?
Okay, so that's a good question. So for those of you, just to give you a little bit of history, I'm kind of a history nerd, especially when it comes to financial history. So the 401k really came out in about 1978 through the ERISA Act, ERISA. But before that, it didn't really exist, and so that's why the 80s were so booming. If you look back historically at the stock market, all of a sudden you had the mass population putting retirement money. They were used to pensions. They were switching over to a 401k, and that's why the market went gangbusters in the 80s. But it's relatively new, right? It's and a lot of people are looking at it going, okay, this is more like a 401k than a 201. What happened to my money? And so a lot of it can get, confusing, a lot of moving parts and stuff like that. And one of those questions is, should I max out my 401k? And like you said, what the heck does that even mean, right? Max it out. Yeah, to the max. I want the max growth. That's not what it means. It's really about putting your money away into a 401k and looking at the match. You know, that was your question, was the match piece. You know, I look at that as like free money. Now, I've talked to some peers that, you know, they're like, no, don't do the 401k. There are better options out there. And I'm like, well, I don't know if somebody's willing to give me 3, 4, 5, 6% of the money, you know, and match that 100% that I'm putting in. That's kind of like free cash, and that can add up significantly to, you know, over a period of 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So I like 401ks personally up to that match point. You know, once you get to that match point, then it really becomes, is there a better place to put my money? And what do I mean by that? Well, you look at, you know, maximizing and stuff like that. It's just 401ks are good, but there's a lot of other stuff out there. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. So, yeah.
So the company match is free money. It's a no-brainer. Going to take advantage of it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Love
That's
that.
Bottom line. Yeah. Short. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, and you said it much more succinct. Anyway.
Okay. All right. So I have more to invest than that, right? I've matched my 401k, and I want to be one of those prepared people for retirement. I have more to put away every month. Should I max out my 401k? And what does that mean when people say max out? Is that means it's the most my company will let me? Is it the most I'm able to? What's that mean, maxing out the 401k?
Yeah. Okay. So that's another great question. We just kind of talked on a little bit. So you ideally want to save as much of your income as you can. You know, a lot of people, you know, for whatever reason, they think, okay, 10% of my income is the number that I need to save. And that's not going to get it done. Ideally, you want to be at, you know, right around that 20, 25% of your gross income. You want to put that towards retirement, building wealth, you know, investment, and things like that, right? So you look at that component of it. It's like, okay, well, I want to put as much away as I can. Okay, so you do what's called maxing out, which means I want to put the maximum amount that I'm allowed into my 401k. And the person or the group that, you know, kind of determines that is the IRS, right? You know, the government, the Fed. So they're gonna decide whether or not you can put in more. And each year they kind of increase it incrementally. Like last year, 19,500 was the most you could put in a 401k as an individual. Now this year, 2022, it's 20,500. So it's a little bit more, $1,000 more, right? But you look at that. I don't know about you. This is kind of me, conspiracy theory guy, right? Does the government ever just give stuff away, or do they kind of want something in return?
I think there's always
there's a catch.
There's always a catch. Yeah,
there's a catch, right? So here's my statement on it. So you look at the Roth 401k, and really what the difference is you've got, you know, pre-tax, post-tax, so not the Roth 401k, excuse me, the traditional Roth account. You know, they're capped out this year at $6,000. Okay, whereas the 401k is capped out at $20,500. That's a big difference. Okay.
Big difference. So the question is why? Yeah.
Yeah. Why do they allow so much more to go into a 401k pre-tax as opposed to the Roth, which is, you know, you pay the tax, get out of the way. You never have to worry about taxes again. Right. Maybe they know something that we don't. So here's a real question for you. Do you think taxes are going to increase 20, 30 years from now or decrease? Right. And I'd love to hear your comments in the chat, you know, in the comments section. I agree. I think they're going to go up.
Yeah.
So they're letting us store all this money and grow all this money with the anticipation of eventually they're going to have to increase tax rates as we start to pull that money out of our 401k. And I know a lot of advisors out there, well, you'll live on less money than you need to. And no, that's unless you're making $1 million and you're going to live on $500,000. Okay, I get that. But if you're everyday John and Jane out there, right? No, it's not going to happen that way. You're going to pull out the same amount of money and you're going to get hit for full boat taxes, which may be at a higher rate. So you got to consider that. I'm not saying don't do it, but you've got to consider it. So the question really is, I want to save 20,500 or 25% of my expenses or my income. Where do I save it? Is the 401k the best scenario? And the answer may be no. And that's really where you've got to sit down and kind of get that financial roadmap for yourself. And not just guess, right? But saving 20,500 a year, fantastic idea if you can do it. But 401k may not be the best place to do it. I'll just leave it at that. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah. So maxing it out this year means 20,500. And yeah, I think, you know, like you said, it's important to meet with a financial professional to go over those things. And we talk a lot about like diversifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just in where you put your money, but the tax strategies behind them. So I think, one thing I don't believe a lot of people have realized that I've talked to about the 401k is that you're taxed on the money that you pull out as income, right? And so it's easy to feel like, okay, now I'm saving tax money. I get a tax break now. But you always give the example, right, of 10% of a dollar. Well, that dollar multiplies to 10% of that $10 is more down the road. So we're robbing from our future self. That's the easiest way for me to look at it, is I'm robbing my future self to save a little money today by doing that pre-tax strategy. So that's been probably the most eye-opening thing to me, and that there are things out there that can put us in a position where we're not paying the taxes on the money we pull out. And
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was just to say, I like to look at it like if you and I were going to own a business together, right? And, okay, you're thinking, okay, we're going to go in 50-50 and that's what it's going to be. Or better yet, let's just use, you're going to go 80 and or 75 and I'll go 25 to use today's tax brackets, right? And I say, okay, well, yeah, I want to go into business with you, Wendy, but here's the deal. I don't really want to set a percentage today. Let's go ahead and wait until we grow the company 10 or 20 years. And then I'll decide what percentage I want of the business. Is that fair? Can we go ahead and do that?
No.
Well, exactly, right? And you're looking at me like I'm crazy even suggesting it, but what are we doing on our taxes? Because your 401k, unless it's the Roth component of a 401k, but if you're in a traditional 401k or an IRA, a traditional IRA, that's exactly what's going on is you've gone into business, if you will, with the federal government, the IRS, and you have already stated, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and grow this money. I'm taking all the risk and everything else. I'm the one working hard to put all that extra money in, and they're going to take a cut at it of it down the road, and you don't know what percentage because they have declared that.
I've never heard you do that analogy before. That's pretty powerful.
Think about it.
Makes me a little cautious.
I mean, seriously, you would never in a million years do it. Yet we're doing it with our taxes all the time. Why? But you said it best just now. You've got to diversify your strategy. You've never put all your money into one stock, right? You're going to diversify it. Why would you want to put all your taxes into one place, right? You want to diversify your tax strategy too. So,
So there are options out there where I can pay taxes now and I don't pay them later.
Yeah, you can do a hybrid too, a little here, a little there, whatever. So you can save taxes now and later. I mean, but that's where the plan comes in. Get that wealth map, understand what's going on. And, if the advisor you're working with now isn't kind of coaching you on taxes, and I'm not just talking save money for today, but talking about down the road and things like that, that's a flag, right? So, call us. So,
so like we did last week, you can drop the word wealth in the comments. And
there you go.
Reach out to you and give you the link to connect with either one of us and do a wealth map. Because for me, that's been really powerful. And I've seen it with so many people that we talk to, that the knowledge, right? Getting the knowledge behind your investments instead of just leaving it up to somebody that tells you what you're supposed to do, right?
Yep, exactly.
Just sign here. This is what you should do.
Nobody's going to care about your money more than you.
Absolutely.
Okay, period. That's why I love the educational thing that we're doing here on Black Swan Money, because we're educating people on how money works so they can make educated decisions rather than just talking over the head. Oh, don't worry about it. Trust me. No. I mean, you want to be able to trust somebody. That's not what I'm saying, but it's all about making sure you understand how this stuff works. Not that you need to do it all and get down in the details and all the nitty gritty, but the basic concepts, right? So that's what
I have one more question, because I think we have like a minute and a half left.
Okay.
The only other thing I started working with you that I knew about outside of a 401k was the pay taxes now and save later. It was the Roth IRA, right? But that you can only contribute a certain amount, and it's a pretty low amount. So for people that want to contribute more, are there other options? And you don't have to go into them all today, but are there other options to put money away, to put more than the Roth, maximums, and have that tax advantage? Yeah,
I mean, so you look at what's the advantage of a Roth over a traditional approach, right? It goes back to the pre-tax or post-tax. You guys, if you followed us for any length of time, you've heard me talk about the IRS, and if you put those two words together with no space, THE, IRS spells theirs, they're going to figure out a way to get theirs out of your pocket. So you have the choice of either paying theirs today or paying theirs tomorrow, and that's the big attractant for the Roth, right? Is, you've got the ability to do a Roth, which I do post-tax. So I've gotten the taxes out of the way. I don't have to worry about taxes down the road. So if taxes do double or triple from what they are today, which is a possibility, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. And look back. Here's a fun Google fact. Go out to the Google and type in tax rate history for the United States, and you'll see what the highest tax bracket was back in the day. And it wasn't that long ago. But anyway, so yeah, that's the big attractor, but you're capped out at 6,000 as an individual, right? Now, if you're over, I think it's 50 or 55, you can actually add another 1,000 to it. But even as a couple, that's, 6,000 each, $12,000. So unlimited. Not only that, as you're earning money, as you become you're earning some big money, not huge money, but big money, there's actually a threshold that once you cross that income threshold, I believe it's like 180 plus or minus as a couple. Once you cross that threshold, you can no longer contribute to a Roth. You don't have that option anymore. Why? They want theirs. Okay. So this is all, I don't want to say it's rigged, but it's kind of rigged in favor of the government getting, it's like they don't build the casinos, those nice casinos, from losing money in Vegas, right? So it's kind of that same kind of approach. But there are other alternatives out there to answer your question. There's a lot of other things out there. And that's the thing about the 401k. Don't get me wrong. I've always had a 401k when I was working in corporate. I always contributed up to the company match. Before I learned what was going on, I actually went over the match. I was one of those, let's put in 15% of my income kind of people. But there are so many other options out there. I mean, I shared this with somebody today, looking at grocery, shopping for groceries, right? So you walk into your grocery store, you buy groceries, lots of selection, the prices are great and things like that. Imagine if you went down to your local convenience store, your gas station market or whatever, and had to get stuff, tried to grocery shop there. Could you do it? Well, I mean, they got stuff, they got milk, they probably have eggs and stuff like that, but you pay through the nose for it, right?
Yeah.
Very limited selection.
The price.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You get 2 Advil for $7.
Exactly. Right. I mean, but the point is they got the stuff. So 401ks are kind of like that. Very limited. You're kind of paying more for it and things like that. But, again, look at your stuff, look at your prospectus. This is for educational purposes only. But, it's kind of a pay to play kind of scenario. Right. And when it comes to my financial future, I don't want stuff that kind of works. I want to know that I've got, somebody I'm working with that actually I'm aligned with, that cares about my success and things like that. But again, I want them explaining so I can make educated decisions about my money. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're working with somebody that tells you don't look at your money or don't look at your 401k, and I've heard that 1,000 times, run. It's your money. You don't get do-overs. You want to look at that stuff like a hawk. This is your wealth. This is your nest egg that's going to get you through the retirement years. So you want to understand what's going on. So did that answer your question?
Good stuff. Yes.
Yeah. I
could probably ask 5 more questions, but we're out of time. So maybe we'll make a part 2.
Yeah, we'll make a part 2 or something like that too. And I actually got some feedback from someone as well that, a lot of our material, this is just kind of FYI for you, and we're going to do a video on this, is geared for people kind of starting and building wealth out. And I had a couple of my older clients that are in retirement reach out and say, hey, I want to know that I'm here, I'm in retirement. What can I do to protect my nest egg? And there's stuff out there for you too. So we'll talk about that down the road. All right. So that. Wendy, thanks. And it was awesome again. Money Moves every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central, right? BlackSwanMoney.com for the replays. Share this with your friends. Show some love. Click that little subscribe button down there and, follow us along and catch those new videos. Share it with your friends. Show some love. Bye-bye, Wendy. Bye, everybody.